Most people jump into keto thinking the more protein, the better. They'll load their plate with chicken breast, steak, eggs, and shakes because they assume protein is the safest option. It feels clean, it feels lean, and it feels like progress, but here's where the hidden trap lies. When you eat protein in excess, your body doesn't just use what it needs to repair muscles and tissues, it actually takes the leftover protein and converts it into sugar through a process called gluconeogenesis. Imagine this, you think you're eating low carb, but inside your body, that extra protein is quietly being turned into glucose, raising insulin and pushing you out of ketosis without you even realizing it. This is why so many people say, I've been strict with keto, I haven't touched carbs, but I'm still not losing weight. They don't see that protein in high amounts acts almost like carbs in disguise. What your body needs is balance. Protein should be moderate, just enough to support your muscles, hormones, and enzymes, not so much that it becomes fuel. Keto is a high-fat, moderate, protein, low-carb lifestyle for a reason. If you overdo the protein, you shift your body away from fat, burning, and back toward sugar, burning, which is the very thing you're trying to escape. The goal is not to eat as much protein as possible. The goal is to keep your body in a state where fat becomes its primary fuel source. And the moment you understand this, you stop blaming the diet and you start adjusting the details that make all the difference. One of the biggest mistakes people make on keto is underestimating hidden carbs. You see, it's not always the bread, the pasta, or the rice that's holding you back. It's the little things you don't think about. That salad dressing that says sugar-free but has maltodextrin hiding in the ingredients, that ketchup or sauce that sneaks in corn syrup. Even those so-called keto-friendly bars or shakes that proudly say low net carbs but are packed with sugar alcohols that still raise insulin in your body. You don't feel it right away, but every time insulin spikes, fat burning shuts down, and then you're left wondering, why am I still craving? Why am I bloated? Why isn't this working? Think of it this way, your body doesn't care what the label says, it only reacts to the chemistry of what you put inside. A few hidden carbs here and there might seem harmless, but they add up quickly, and when they do, they keep you stuck in that frustrating cycle where you never fully adapt to burning fat. The key is awareness. It's not about obsessing or fearing every bite. It's about knowing that ingredients matter more than marketing. When you strip away the hidden carbs and stick to clean, whole foods, you finally give your body the chance to flip that metabolic switch into real fat burning mode. Another mistake I see all the time is forgetting that keto is not just about cutting carbs. It's about nourishing the body. Too many people think if they just load up on bacon, cheese, butter, and a few eggs, they're doing keto the right way. But here's the problem: when your diet lacks nutrients, your body eventually pushes back. You start feeling sluggish, your skin looks tired, your hair loses its shine, and your energy dips. Why? Because your cells aren't just looking for fuel, they're looking for vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients that only come from vegetables, especially leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, spinach, and cauliflower. The liver is the organ that makes keto work. It processes fat, it produces ketones, it detoxifies your body, and it cannot do that job without nutrients. If you starve the liver of potassium, magnesium, trace minerals, and antioxidants, you will stall. You'll feel like keto is draining you, when in reality, it's your nutrient gaps holding you back. People often forget that keto is not permission to skip vegetables. In fact, vegetables are what allow the fat you eat to actually work for you. They help regulate insulin, support digestion, and keep your energy smooth. When you combine healthy fats with nutrient-rich vegetables, that's when keto stops feeling like a diet and starts becoming a lifestyle that heals and energizes you from the inside out. So many people carry this deep, unconscious fear of fat. For years, we've been told fat clogs arteries, fat makes you overweight, fat is the enemy. And when someone starts keto, they bring that same old mindset with them. They cut carbs, yes, but they still keep their fat intake low because it feels safer. The problem is, without enough fat, your body never fully transitions into fat burning. You stay hungry, you feel deprived, your cravings don't go away, and pretty soon you start slipping back into old eating habits. Here's the truth: fat is not the villain, it's the fuel. Healthy fats like avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, grass-fed butter, nuts, and fatty fish are what stabilize your blood sugar, keep insulin low, and give you that long, steady energy keto is known for. When you restrict fat, you're essentially leaving your body without a reliable source of energy, and that's why you end up feeling drained or unsatisfied. The moment you embrace fat not in excess, but in the right amount, you notice something powerful: hunger fades, mental clarity sharpens, energy becomes consistent. It feels almost unnatural at first because we've been conditioned for decades to fear fat, but once you experience how your body thrives on it, you realize fat was never the problem. It was the missing piece. Another thing that quietly sabotages keto progress is snacking. People think, it's okay, I'm not eating chips or cookies anymore, I'm sticking to keto-friendly snacks so I'm safe. But what they don't realize is that every time you eat, even if it's just a handful of nuts, a piece of cheese, or one of those keto bars, you're still triggering insulin. And as long as insulin is being triggered, your body cannot burn fat. So instead of giving your body a chance to dip into fat stores, you're constantly topping it off with little bursts of food that keep you stuck in storage mode. Keto was never meant to be about eating all day long. It's about letting your body run on its own stored fuel. When you reduce meals and cut out snacks, you give insulin time to drop, and that's when fat burning really begins. Think about it. If you're eating 6 times a day, even with low-carb foods, you're never truly giving your body a break. But when you narrow it down to 2 or even 1 solid, satisfying meal, filled with healthy fats, protein, and vegetables, everything changes. Cravings disappear, energy becomes stable, and weight loss finally kicks in. Snacking feels innocent, but in reality, it's the silent barrier keeping so many people from reaching their goals. One of the biggest reasons people give up on keto is because they feel miserable in the beginning. They complain of headaches, fatigue, muscle cramps, brain fog, what many call the keto flu. And they think keto just isn't for them, but in reality, it's not the diet, it's an electrolyte problem. When you cut carbs, your insulin drops, and when insulin drops, your body flushes out water and minerals like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. That's why suddenly you're dehydrated, your energy crashes, and your muscles start tightening up. It's not because keto is damaging you. It's because your body is missing the very minerals it needs to run properly. When you replace those electrolytes, everything changes. A little extra sea salt on your food, potassium, rich vegetables like spinach and kale, magnesium from nuts or supplements, these things make all the difference. Suddenly, the fatigue lifts, the headaches disappear, and you actually feel the clean, steady energy keto is designed to give you. Most people don't fail because keto doesn't work. They fail because they didn't know how important minerals are. If you ignore electrolytes, your body resists. If you supply them, your body adapts smoothly. It's that simple. What a lot of people don't realize is that you can have your macros perfect, your carbs cut, your fats balanced, your nutrients in place, but if you're not sleeping, your body will fight you every step of the way. Sleep is not just rest, it's when your hormones reset. When you miss sleep, cortisol goes up. And when cortisol goes up, insulin goes up. The moment insulin rises, fat burning stops, no matter how strict you've been with your diet. That's why people can eat clean, stay disciplined, and still feel stuck, because their lack of sleep is literally undoing their progress. Think about how you feel after a poor night's sleep. Your cravings are stronger, especially for carbs and sugar. Your energy is unstable, so you reach for snacks just to get through the day, and your metabolism slows because the body is under stress. But when you prioritize sleep, something remarkable happens. Your cravings fade, your mood stabilizes, your metabolism picks up, and your results on keto accelerate. Sleep isn't optional, it's a key part of the formula. Without it, keto feels like a struggle. With it, keto becomes effortless. Another hidden mistake that keeps people from seeing results on keto is ignoring stress. You can be eating all the right foods, counting every carb, doing everything perfect. But if your stress levels are high, your body won't let go of fat. Here's why. Stress raises cortisol, and cortisol raises insulin. And the moment insulin is elevated, fat burning shuts down. So even though your plate looks clean, your body is still locked in storage mode because it thinks it's under threat. Most people don't connect the dots. They wonder why they're stuck even though they're strict with keto, but they overlook the fact that constant worry, overworking, lack of downtime, or even emotional stress is keeping their body in a state of tension, and when your body is in survival mode, it's not interested in burning fat. It's interested in holding on to it. The real solution isn't just about food, it's about calming the system. Deep breathing, walking in nature, meditation, better boundaries with work, these are not luxuries, they're essential tools if you want keto to work the way it should. Once you lower stress, cortisol comes down, insulin drops, and suddenly your body unlocks the fat burning potential you've been waiting for. One of the most common mistakes people make on keto, and probably one of the most deceptive, is relying on processed keto foods. And I'm not talking about obvious junk food like soda or chips. I'm talking about foods that are cleverly packaged and marketed as keto friendly, low carb, or zero net carbs. The moment you step into a grocery store or even browse online, you're bombarded with these products: cookies, protein bars, tortillas, ice creams, shakes, all labeled with those magical words, keto approved, and it feels comforting, doesn't it? It makes you think you can still eat the same way you used to eat, just with a keto version that seems safer. But that's exactly where people set themselves up for failure, because when you start leaning on these products, you're no longer feeding your body, you're feeding your old habits. Now, let's go deeper into this. Your body does not care about labels, it does not care what the front of the package says. It only responds to chemistry. When you consume these packaged keto foods, most of them are filled with hidden starches, sugar alcohols, or artificial sweeteners that still spike insulin. And insulin is the gatekeeper here. The moment insulin is triggered, fat burning shuts off. You could be in perfect ketosis for 3 days, but a few of these products can push you right out of fat burning mode without you realizing it. You might tell yourself, but it only says 2 net carbs per serving, so I'm safe. But the reality is, those 2 net carbs are often a manipulated number, calculated using fiber and sugar alcohols that may not digest the same way in your body. For some people, sugar alcohols like maltitol, sorbitol, or even too much erythritol still raise blood sugar and trigger insulin. And when insulin goes up, your fat burning switch goes down. What makes this even trickier is the psychological trap. You feel like you're on plan, but you're constantly satisfying the same cravings that got you into trouble in the first place. You might not be eating sugar cookies anymore, but you're still eating keto cookies. You might not be drinking soda, but now you're hooked on diet sodas and keto shakes. And guess what happens? Your taste buds never reset. Your brain never learns to stop depending on constant sweetness. So the cravings never truly leave you. And as long as those cravings remain alive, your willpower has to fight every single day, and eventually you give in. True keto freedom isn't about replacing junk with keto junk. It's about rewiring the body so cravings naturally fade away. I've seen this happen so many times. Someone will tell me, I've been strict keto for months, but I'm not losing weight. Then we look at what they're eating. Breakfast, a keto protein bar. Mid-morning, a handful of keto chips. Lunch, a low-carb wrap. Afternoon, a keto shake. Dinner, maybe some meat and veggies. And dessert, keto ice cream. On paper, it looks like keto. The carbs are technically low. But in reality, their body is constantly flooded with chemicals, artificial sweeteners, and processed ingredients that keep insulin high and the liver overwhelmed. No wonder they're stuck. No wonder they're tired. No wonder the results don't come. And let's talk about the liver for a moment, because this is where everything comes together. The liver is the organ that runs the entire show on keto. It processes fat, produces ketones, detoxifies chemicals, regulates hormones, and manages blood sugar. When you fill your diet with processed foods, even if they're keto, you burden the liver with additives, preservatives, and artificial ingredients that slow it down. A sluggish liver cannot produce ketones efficiently, it cannot burn fat effectively, it cannot regulate insulin the way it should. So even though you think you're doing keto, your body is running in circles, trying to handle the junk instead of focusing on fat burning. And here's the most important part, you don't feel the damage immediately. That's what makes this mistake so dangerous. With regular junk food, you can feel the sugar crash. You know when you've had too much, but with processed keto foods, the crash is subtle. You might just feel bloated, a little more tired, a little less motivated. You might just think you're stressed or didn't sleep enough. Meanwhile, your insulin has spiked, your fat burning has shut down, and your cravings are creeping back in. By the time you notice, weeks have passed, the scale hasn't moved, and your confidence is slipping. Now let me share something powerful. When people switch from processed keto foods to clean, whole foods, the change is almost instant. I've seen people who were plateaued for months suddenly start dropping weight again within a week, simply because they cut out the keto bars, the low-carb tortillas, and the fake desserts. Their energy comes back, their sleep improves, and for the first time, they actually feel what keto is supposed to feel like: calm, steady, and sustainable. That's because the body doesn't want chemicals, it doesn't want engineered food, it wants real fuel. Real fat, real vegetables, real protein. Think about how you feel after eating a meal of grass-fed beef, a large salad, some olive oil, and avocado. You feel satisfied but not heavy, your mind is clear, your hunger stays away for hours. That's because the body is actually nourished. Now compare that with how you feel after eating 3 servings of keto snacks. You're still hungry, you're still thinking about food, and your energy is jittery. That's the difference between feeding your cells and feeding your cravings. One brings healing, the other brings frustration. And let's be honest, most of us turn to keto not just to lose weight, but to feel alive again, to have energy, to get rid of brain fog, to heal from years of unhealthy eating. But how can that happen if we keep tricking ourselves with packaged solutions? Every time you choose processed keto food, you're telling your body, I'm not ready to let go of the old habits. But every time you choose whole food, you're telling your body, I'm ready to heal, and your body responds accordingly. Now, does this mean you can never enjoy a treat? Of course not, but those treats should be occasional, not your daily staples. If your diet is built on processed products, you'll always struggle. If your diet is built on whole foods, you'll thrive. Keto is not about finding substitutes for your old addictions. It's about creating a completely new relationship with food. So ask yourself, are you doing keto or are you doing processed keto? Are you healing your body or are you just tricking it with better packaging? The difference is massive. Once you stop relying on these products, something incredible happens. Your cravings finally quiet down. Your taste buds start to change. Foods you once craved lose their hold over you. Your body shifts into true fat burning mode where you're not fighting against it anymore. You're working with it. And that's when keto becomes effortless. You see, success with keto isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. It's about recognizing that not all low-carb foods are created equal. Some support you, some sabotage you. The moment you stop relying on processed keto foods, you free yourself from the endless cycle of frustration, and you finally experience the real power of keto. The power that comes from eating in harmony with how your body was designed to function, and once you taste that kind of freedom, you'll never want to go back. One of the most overlooked but powerful mistakes people make on keto is the lack of patience. We live in a world where everyone wants quick fixes. Instant weight loss, instant energy, instant clarity. If it doesn't happen in a week, people start saying, "This isn't working for me. Maybe keto just doesn't suit my body. Maybe I need to try something else." And that mindset alone is what keeps people from experiencing the true transformation keto has to offer. Because here's the truth. Your body is not a machine you flip on and off overnight. It's a complex system that has been running on sugar, carbs, and processed foods for decades. And when you suddenly take that away, it doesn't instantly thank you and switch over to fat burning. It resists, it struggles, it needs time to adapt, and that time can feel uncomfortable. Think of your metabolism like a fire. For years, most people have been throwing kindling on that fire quick, burning carbs, sugar, snacks, bread, pasta. They burn fast, give a little energy, and then fizzle out. The fire is weak and unstable, always needing more fuel. Now imagine you take away that kindling and replace it with big logs, healthy fats. Those logs burn slow, steady, and powerful. But you can't just throw them on a weak fire and expect instant heat. The fire has to adjust, it has to catch, it has to build strength. That period of adaptation is where most people lose patience. They think the fire is out, when really it's just transitioning to something much more stable. And this is exactly what happens with keto. In the beginning, your body is confused. It has been running on glucose for years. Suddenly, you've taken that away and asked it to run on ketones. That's like asking someone who has been driving an automatic car their whole life to suddenly switch to manual. At first, it's clumsy, there are stalls, there's frustration, and it feels unnatural. But with time and practice, it becomes smooth, effortless, and far more powerful. The mistake is that people quit during the clumsy stage, never realizing how close they were to mastery. I see this constantly. Someone tells me, "I've been on keto for 2 weeks and I haven't lost more than a couple of pounds." And I always ask, how long have you been struggling with your weight? How many years have you been running on sugar? How much damage has been done to your metabolism, your liver, your insulin sensitivity? If it took 10, 20, 30 years to create the problem, is it fair to expect it to completely reverse in just a few days? Healing takes time, adaptation takes time, fat burning takes time, and those who respect that process are the ones who see life-changing results. Another reason impatience is so dangerous is because it blinds you to the subtle progress that is actually happening. You're waiting for the scale to drop dramatically, but you miss the fact that your cravings are weaker, your energy is a little more stable, your bloating is less, your mental clarity is starting to return. Those are signs that the switch is beginning to flip. But if you're obsessed only with rapid weight loss, you overlook these signals and convince yourself nothing is happening. The truth is, the body always changes before the scale does. Healing comes first, fat burning comes second. Your liver has to recover, your insulin has to normalize, your hormones have to settle. Only then does the fat start melting off. If you give up before that point, you never allow your body to reach its potential, and let's not forget the role of expectations. Many people come to keto with unrealistic goals because they see transformations online, people dropping 20 pounds in a month, showing dramatic before and after pictures. What they don't see is the background. Maybe those people had different metabolisms, maybe they had less damage, maybe their bodies adapted faster. Your journey will never look exactly like someone else's. When you compare yourself to those stories, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And disappointment breeds impatience. That impatience then leads to inconsistency, and inconsistency destroys results. It's not that keto doesn't work. It's that people don't give it the time it requires. Now let's talk about the biology for a moment, because this is important. When you first start keto, your cells are not efficient at using ketones. Your mitochondria, the energy factories in your cells, are used to burning glucose. They need to rewire themselves to use fat and ketones. That process is called keto adaptation, and it doesn't happen in a few days. For some, it takes 3 weeks, for others 6 weeks. For those with insulin resistance, fatty liver, or metabolic syndrome, it can take months. During that time, you might feel sluggish, your workouts might feel harder, you might crave carbs. That's not failure. That's your body rebuilding itself from the inside out. But if you quit because it feels hard, you rob yourself of the reward that comes on the other side. There's also the issue of water weight. Many people see big drops in the first week, 5-10 pounds gone, because when carbs are reduced, the body flushes out glycogen and water. Then the scale slows down. Suddenly, weight loss isn't as dramatic, and impatience sets in. But this is where the real fat loss begins. It's slower, steadier, and less flashy, and this is where you have to trust the process. If you give up here, you go back to the old cycle. Lose a little, gain it back, lose a little, gain it back. But if you stay patient, your body stabilizes, fat burning becomes natural, and the weight you lose this time actually stays off. What's interesting is that impatience doesn't just come from wanting fast results, it also comes from discomfort. The body craves what's familiar, and when you take away sugar and carbs, it feels deprived. That discomfort pushes people to say, "This isn't working, I need to stop." But the discomfort is actually the sign that it is working. Your body is detoxing from sugar. Your insulin is dropping. Your metabolism is shifting. That unease is part of the healing. Just like when you start exercising after years of being sedentary, you feel sore, tired, maybe even weak at first. But that doesn't mean exercise doesn't work. It means your body is adapting. The same is true with keto. The temporary discomfort is the bridge to lasting health, but impatience convinces people to turn back before crossing it. Now, let's look at the mental side. Impatience often comes from not having a strong why. If you're only doing keto because you want to drop a few pounds quickly for an event, you'll quit the moment it feels slow. But if your why is deeper, if you want to heal your body, reverse insulin resistance, regain energy, improve mental clarity, then patience becomes easier. Because you understand that this is not a short-term diet, it's a long-term lifestyle, and lifestyles are built slowly, not instantly. That's why I always tell people, don't chase speed, chase sustainability. Anyone can lose weight quickly with drastic measures, but if you want lasting change, you must give your body time to build a new foundation. Here's the ironic part, the people who are the most patient often end up getting the fastest results. Because instead of stressing over the scale every day, they stay consistent. they let their body do its work. They allow time for adaptation, and before they know it, the results compound. 1 month turns into 3, 3 months turn into 6, and suddenly their entire body, energy, and health are transformed. The impatient ones quit after a few weeks, jump to another diet, and repeat the cycle of frustration. Patience doesn't just produce results, it prevents failure. I want you to think of your journey like planting a tree. You put the seed in the ground, you water it, and for weeks you may see nothing. The soil looks the same. You might even think maybe it's not growing, but underground roots are forming, foundations are being built. And then one day a small sprout appears. Over time it grows taller, stronger, more resilient. That's exactly what's happening when you stay patient with keto. In the beginning, the roots are being laid, the liver is healing, insulin resistance is improving, mitochondria are adapting. You might not see it on the outside, but inside, transformation is taking place. And if you keep going, that sprout eventually turns into a strong, healthy tree. But if you dig up the soil every week looking for quick results, you kill the very thing you're trying to grow. So many people sabotage themselves by demanding results on their timeline instead of trusting the body's timeline. The body knows what it's doing. It has an incredible ability to heal and adapt, but it will not be rushed. If you respect the process, if you stay patient, the results will come sometimes slower than you want, but always more powerful than you expect. The key is to stop asking, how fast can I lose weight? And start asking, how well can I support my body to heal? Because when the body heals, the weight takes care of itself. And let me tell you, the rewards of patience are worth it. When you finally reach the point of full keto adaptation, everything feels different. Your hunger is gone, your cravings are gone, your energy is steady all day, your brain feels sharp, and your body becomes a fat, burning machine. That doesn't happen in a week. That doesn't even happen in 2. But it does happen if you wait, if you trust, if you keep going. And when it does, you'll look back and realize that the waiting, the discomfort, the slow days, they were all part of the journey that made you stronger.